Good day, everybody. Jeffrey Beamer here, and welcome to Earnings Call. Today, we're going to go over some earnings-related headlines. Lots going on this week. We're going to talk about our earnings overview, the stocks that we're looking at this week, key in on a few stocks and a few names that have earnings this week, and we're going to talk about last week's trade where we made over 38% in just 4 days, and then I'm going to give you another trade for this week, all coming up in just a second. All right, so let's begin today with Elf Beauty headlines here. We got headlines for you, and we're going to start with Elf Beauty. Interesting here on Elf is that sales jumped 50% on gains in color cosmetics and skincare, but look at the chart here. The market did not like this for some reason, and the stock is down double digits, over 20% in just 2 days. All right, so we gapped down on Thursday, and then or on Friday. Sorry, we gapped down about 9%, and today we're down an additional 10%. So market is not liking what Elf Beauty had to say, even though sales were up big and probably was buried in the outlook, maybe something the CEO said. I was reading through some earnings call notes and just didn't really see much there. But sales were good, and this is one of those examples where maybe buy the rumor, sell the news, as you see the stock rallied right going into earnings and then sold off once the announcement was made. So that's it for Elf. Let's move on to our next headline on Eli Lilly. Blowout quarter. This should, as the headline states, should quiet investors' concern about the stock. The stock has rallied very nicely over the past few days, and you can see here that it was up big on Friday and then or Thursday, as this stock had earnings come out on Thursday, and then Friday we rallied beyond that, and we're about break even today. As the stock, as you can see here, is down just 24 basis points. Big move for Lilly, and investors seem very happy with that. And speaking of being happy with that, let's take a look at Under Armour. This stock really took off, and on its earnings announcement, surging over 20%. In fact, the stock is up over almost 22% in just 2 days after posting better than feared quarterly sales. So people were concerned. Its stock is giving up just a little bit today, only down 1.24%. But some big movers last week on some unexpected headlines. In fact, these were not, since they weren't expected and options pricing weren't there. It's not something that we were looking at, but we're always focused on these earnings and interesting news on those stocks that came out last week. So let's get into what we're looking at this week. We're on the backside of earnings this week, and we have only a few hundred stocks that are going to declare this week, posting second quarter results, and it's going to remain consistent like this over the next few weeks as we get fewer and fewer stocks or fewer and fewer companies declaring earnings. So this week we have just a handful. Now, believe it or not, we only have 4 that we're really watching on our breakout candidates, meaning stocks that we're looking at moving over 10%. And those are, as you can see here, on holdings, which is ON. And if we pull up the chart on that, we're expecting a move on that of around 18% through earnings. Now, we really we zero in on where the market makers are pricing this. Oftentimes, they price below or above what the expectation is, and so this is what gives us an edge, and we make decisions on whether we include it in our breakout portfolio or our quiet consolidation portfolio. Okay, so for on holdings, we're looking at a move of about 18%. Market makers are pricing in only about 10% move right now, which I think is very interesting. All right. So next stock on our breakout list, all right, is C Limited. Okay. Again, another move expected of 18%. Earnings come out on this on Tuesday, tomorrow morning before market open. That's what the BMO stands for. And as I give chart, look at the chart here, this stock is what I call a flowing chart. When this gets into a trend, whether it be up or down, this stock will typically have some follow through. So what I like about this stock is that even if it say moved up only 15% through earnings, there's usually going to be some follow through to that over the next several days. Maybe the stock has already started that advance. We'll see on tomorrow morning what happens to C Limited here. And the last breakout that we're looking at is actually here on Stone Company, all right, or Stone Co. As you can see here, we are expecting a move of about 13%, all right? And we'll see where market makers are pricing in that stock as we get into market close tomorrow. But if they're pricing in a 13% move, and that's what its historical average is, gives us no edge, and we wouldn't necessarily place that type of trade. So, but we'll be definitely keeping an eye on it as one of our breakout candidates. All right, now some of the big names this week that are on the docket include names like Home Depot. And so we'll take a look at Home Depot here, and the stock is only anticipated to move 3%. All right, so it could still gap up or down, but it's only going to gap by 3, 4, maybe 5%. This is ideal when we can place a trade that may be where we can place our break evens about 10% out of the money, and the stock will consolidate within that. This would be in our delta neutral income portfolio, and we would actually we do have a trade on Home Depot in our delta neutral income portfolio right now. We are looking for, in fact, it was this exact scenario. We're expecting a 3% move, and I was able to place a trade where we're collecting premium and our break evens are about 10% away. So we're looking for a quiet move there tomorrow morning before market open, our earnings for Home Depot. How about UBS in the financial district? We're looking at only a 6% move. You can see the stock actually reacted to some other news last week and is now consolidating. And this is considered quiet because it's less than 10%. We don't expect UBS to really move very much. You can see that this stock does gap around, okay, but not necessarily through the actual earnings date. Okay, when it's right around earnings, then it tends to meet expectations or not meet expectations. But the stock is just so mature that it just doesn't move very much through earnings. All right, two more candidates here. We're going to look at Cisco. Believe it or not, Cisco is only expecting to have a 5% move through earnings. That's what it's done historically over the past year and a half. If we kind of go back in time, you'll see this stock is really pretty quiet. We did have one move here, and if we calculate what that one move is on Cisco there, that one gap back there, let's see here, that was a 9% move just one time in the past year. All the other moves are even that 9% move is less than that 10% number. Okay. And so even when you're looking at the chart and you see a big gap like this, you're like, oh, well, that, violated the rules or whatever. No, it didn't. It was still what we consider a relatively quiet stock, even though it moved 9%, which, we consider these big movers well over 10%. And then probably one of the headliners this week is going to be Walmart. All right. Walmart, we're looking at about a 7% move. You can see the stock has just been on a run lately. It did pull back and is now just starting to curl up. Man, this thing, I wouldn't be surprised if we, if this, the thing about Walmart is this, we are looking at second quarter results. All right. But we're also we're in August now and we're heading into prime retail season. All right. Now, third quarter, we'll see if they start getting some momentum. I'm very interested to see what Walmart does here in the second quarter. Would not be surprised if it's relatively quiet. all right, meaning about that 7% move or less, all right. But maybe later in the year, it might jump over to a different kind of candidate for us. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on Walmart as we get into the fall. All right. So those are the stocks that we're looking at this week. Let me get into the results of our trade that we did last week. You know, I told you about Expedia. That was on our breakout list candidate. And, we had a nice little setup there. And the thing about Expedia, when we get a stock like Expedia, we will give these out through our trading service. This one would be Delta Neutral Breakout, where I'm looking at stocks that are going to break out big. All right. And the option pricing is there. And so I wanted to show you kind of what that looks like here. This was trade ID 1222. This went out to all of our subscribers on August 5th last week on Expedia. And you can see here that the end result was a nice profit of $406, which is a 38% return in just 4 days. Okay. It says 3 days here, but it's a 24-hour clock. We consider it 4. All right. And you can see here that I sent the alert out and people got, get a little commentary on it. And then I'll provide updates, which I didn't have to update on Expedia because we then just sent out the exit alert when the stock popped up here. As you can see here on this particular chart, this is what went out to all of our subscribers last week. But let me get back to the chart and or back to that trade. And we can see here the net result on that gap up was a 38.6% return in just 4 days. Okay. So great trade on Expedia. And that would be in our Delta Neutral Breakout service. So what's on store for this week? Well, I got another trade for you here. All right. This is going to be on, well, wait for it here. Here it comes. This is going to be on StoneCo. All right. Interesting. I was looking at the opportunity of presenting a stock that wasn't necessarily expensive. Okay. And this stock, as you can see, is priced at $13. Okay. And believe it or not, for this strangle right now, the pricing, when I looked at it just before we went live today, was about 75 cents for this strangle. Now, remember, a strangle is essentially a call and a put at two different strikes with the same expiration date. And we're looking at that strangle here on StoneCo as we go into our trading week this week. And StoneCo, remember, it has earnings coming up on Wednesday, August 14th, after market close. All right. So we will be watching that and we will track that through the earnings event and looking for a big move on StoneCo for this week. And that trade is only 75%, was the last pricing I saw, 75 cents per spread. Okay. So be sure on trades like that you don't make them too big. Okay. Use good money management. Always have a plan for your trades and a good exit strategy. So with all that said, everyone have a great trading week and we will see you next Monday. Everyone take care.